In the late 60s, my dad headed up Capitol Records during a time when the Beatles were their major act. It was also a time when the Beatles were starting a new record label called Apple Records. I have some memorabilia from that era.
Here's your father,
Yeah.
Paul, and who's this guy?
Yeah, that would be me. Yeah.
This is a collection of Beatles memorabilia from one of the most significant moments in the history of popular music. The launch of Apple Records in 1968. The collection includes 4 promotional records, each with handwritten descriptions on the labels, a signed photograph, a personal letter, and original artwork. Every piece in this collection is custom made, every piece is one of a kind. And together they tell the story of the most famous band in the history of music. The Beatles formed in Liverpool, England in 1960. John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr, 4 young men from working-class backgrounds who changed the course of music, culture, and an entire generation forever. They signed with Capitol Records and spent the 1960s producing album after album that redefined what popular music could be. But by the late 1960s, they were ready to build something of their own. In 1968, they founded Apple Records, their own label, on their own terms. The 4 records represent the very first release on Apple Records, Hey Jude and Revolution on one, with the remaining 3 featuring other artists from that original launch. Every label is handwritten, every record is in pristine condition, and the entire set was custom made and personally given to the man who worked most closely with the Beatles during their most celebrated years. The signed photograph shows Paul McCartney with a personal inscription written in his own hand, warm, playful, and completely unguarded. And then there's the letter, a personal thank you note dated January 21st, 1970, signed by all 4 Beatles, 4 signatures on a single document dated 1970, just 3.5 months before the Beatles officially announced they were finished. By that point, the tensions between them were at their absolute peak. They were barely speaking. The end was already written. And yet all 4 of them signed this letter. A document signed by all 4 Beatles together in 1970 is one of the rarest things in the entire world of music memorabilia. Almost nothing like it exists anywhere.
And we think that an insurance value for something like this, the collection, about $60,000.
Excuse me?
$60,000.
Holy mackerel.
This is my great-grandfather, Phil Margetts. He was born in England and he came to Salt Lake City in 1850. He mostly made a living as a blacksmith and also as an owner of a wine depot. But his real passion was acting. And he was, in fact, the best-known and best-loved actor in the Utah Territory from about 1850 to his retirement in 1905.
This is a personal archive belonging to Phil Margetts, blacksmith, wine merchant, actor, and the most celebrated performer in the Utah Territory from 1850 to his retirement in 1905. Born in England, he came to Salt Lake City in 1850 and built a life that touched nearly every corner of the city's early history. He is considered the first great Mormon actor, and what he left behind is one of the most extraordinary personal archives from the early history of the American West. The archive includes a certificate of citizenship from 1857, making him an official citizen of the Utah Territory. Period photographers of Salt Lake City showing the city as it was in its earliest years. A photograph of his wine establishment. A portrait. A theater ticket from a live performance in Salt Lake City. Printed playbills. His personal diary. And handwritten scripts, written in his own hand because printed scripts were difficult to obtain on the frontier, and a performer simply had to write his own. But the most significant pieces in the entire archive are 3 handwritten letters, all written personally to Phil Margetts by Brigham Young. At the time, Brigham Young was the most powerful figure in Salt Lake City, and the leader of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The letters reveal a close and personal relationship between the 2 men. Young was a passionate supporter of Margetts, and played a direct role in helping him develop the theater in Salt Lake City. The letters detail the finances involved, the plans for the theater, and the kind of intimate historical detail that no history book could ever fully capture. One letter is particularly remarkable. Written at the moment when the United States Army was rumored to be marching toward Salt Lake City, a moment of enormous tension and uncertainty for the entire Mormon community. Brigham Young wrote that he thought it was all humbug, nonsense. He was headed back east and was not worried. Of course, the army did come. And that letter captures the exact moment before history proved him wrong.
We estimate the collection, and not just what we're showing here on screen, but everything that you brought with you today, with a fair market value of $100,000 to $150,000.
Are you kidding me?
Not at all, no.
Oh my God. Thank you.
Growing up, my mother lived in a carriage house, and the main home was owned by a man by the name of Monty Woolley. And after he passed, he gave my grandparents the option to purchase the house, which they purchased and moved into. And when they were getting ready to sell the house years later, a trash man came in and started taking out all these boxes of memorabilia. And my mother had the option, and she took and filled her trunk up with, what she found, and here we are today.
Most celebrated composers and songwriters in the history of American music. Every letter is written in his own hand. Every letter is signed by him. Some carry beautiful hand-drawn illustrations in the margins. Some contain musical notes written in his own handwriting. And all of them were written to one man, Monty Woolley, his closest and most intimate friend for the entirety of his life. These are not just letters. These are a private window into the lives of two of the most extraordinary figures of the American avant-garde. Cole Porter was born in 1891 in Peru, Indiana. He showed remarkable musical talent from childhood, and eventually made his way to Yale University, where he met a fellow student named Monty Woolley, a meeting that would define both of their lives. Porter went on to become one of the greatest songwriters Broadway and Hollywood had ever seen. Night and Day, Anything Goes, I've Got You Under My Skin, compositions of such sophistication and wit that they defined an entire era of American popular music. He moved through the most glamorous circles of the 1920s and 1930s, hosting legendary parties and living at the absolute height of the avant-garde. And through all of it, his connection to Monty Woolley never wavered. Monty Woolley met Porter at Yale and remained inseparable from him for the rest of his life. He became a legendary Broadway actor, most famous for his role in The Man Who Came to Dinner, a play that shot him into stardom and earned him the nickname The Beard, a nickname Porter himself used in these very letters. One letter from 1919 reads, "I thought of you last night, Mont." And then Porter writes a musical note and adds, "It's our tune, is it not?" These letters capture him at his most charming and his most alive. 32 letters, musical notes, hand-drawn illustrations, a Western Union telegram from 1941, and a friendship that lasted a lifetime.
Cole Porter letters can run anywhere from $300 to $500 to $1,000 to $1,500, but your letters are exceptional. And my valuation, and I've spoken to a number of the other appraisers, for the letters that you have brought us, not the 4 boxes of archives, but for the letters, would be between $50,000 and $70,000 at auction.
Thank you.
I always read the Chicago Daily News, and my favorite columnist was Mike Royko. So Mike published it in the Daily News and said he would sell that letter to the highest bidder, and the money would go to the Salvation Army. So I decided I'd bid on the letter. And I had a $400 Mother's Day check from my big family, and I was sitting there and I said, I'll bid $400. And maybe a couple weeks later, the phone rang, I picked it up. This is Mike Royko. I just let out a holler, and so that was the story of how I got the letter.
This is a handwritten letter from Frank Sinatra to Mike Royko, one of the most celebrated and beloved newspaper columnists in the history of American journalism. Written in Sinatra's own hand, signed by Sinatra, and copyrighted by Sinatra, meaning it can only ever be published in full. Alongside the letter are 2 original Mike Royko columns from the Chicago Daily News, his public response to Sinatra after the letter became one of the most talked about pieces of correspondence in the history of American popular culture. The story behind this letter is as extraordinary as the letter itself. Mike Royko was the voice of Chicago. Born in 1932, he spent his career at the Chicago Daily News writing columns that championed the ordinary people of the city and took on anyone he felt deserved it. Politicians, celebrities, institutions. He was sharp, funny, and completely fearless. Frank Sinatra came to Chicago to perform, and the city deployed what Royko described as half the Chicago police force to act as his personal bodyguards, occupying an entire floor of a hotel while ordinary citizens on Michigan Avenue and State Street were being left vulnerable. Royko wrote a column about it. Funny, pointed, exactly the kind of thing he did better than anyone. Frank Sinatra did not find it funny. He fired off a letter to Royko that has gone down in history as one of the most extraordinary pieces of correspondence any celebrity has ever written. He told Royko he did not know him, and Royko did not know him. He defended his use of the police force. He questioned why nobody spat in Royko's eyes 3 or 4 times a day. He called him a pimp. And then, in the most remarkable closing in the history of angry letters, he offered Royko a wager. Pull my hairpiece. If it moves, I will give you $100,000. If it does not, I will punch you in the mouth. Signed, Sinatra, copyrighted. Royko published it in the Daily News and auctioned the letter to the highest bidder, with all proceeds going to the Salvation Army. And that is exactly how this letter found its way into the world.
I would estimate it at auction at least $15,000. And I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if this letter sold for more than that.
Are they kidding me? Did you all hear that? Did you all hear that?
Yes.
Oh, he offered me $100 for it. You can't have it for $100. If I ever sell it, the money goes to Salvation Army.
Oh, that would be
so
good.
The more the merrier.
There you go.
In high school in Los Angeles, he was friends with Jackie Robinson. And I have a group of letters and an image of Jackie playing UCLA football. It's kind of personal, but it's really great historically, too.
Absolutely.
This is a collection of handwritten letters and a photograph belonging to Jackie Robinson, written before he became the most important figure in the history of American baseball. The letters date from the late 1930s, nearly a decade before Robinson broke the color barrier in 1947 and changed the course of sports history forever. Personal letters, written by a teenager, to a close friend, about the ordinary details of his life, and they are among the rarest Jackie Robinson documents ever seen. Jackie Robinson was born in 1919 in Cairo, Georgia, and grew up in Pasadena, California. From his earliest years, he showed extraordinary athletic ability across multiple sports. He attended Pasadena Junior College before transferring to UCLA, where he became the first athlete in the university's history to letter in 4 sports in a single year. The letters are not about sports. They are personal and warm, written from one friend to another. He writes about the difficulty of adjusting to UCLA's curriculum. He talks about choosing UCLA over Oregon. He writes about looking for a church. He invites his friend to his wedding. These are the private thoughts of a 19-year-old young man who had no idea what history had waiting for him. One letter is dated 1938 and signed Jackie Robinson, one of the youngest signatures ever seen anywhere in any collection. Robinson broke Major League Baseball's color barrier on April 15, 1947. He was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1962 and passed away in 1972, leaving behind a legacy that extended far beyond the baseball diamond.
At auction, we can see this fetching anywhere between $15,000 and $20,000.
Whoa, really?
And we're talking about the collection. I think it would, don't separate these items.
Oh, no, right? Holy, that's pretty cool. I mean, my dad would be really proud right now because, he considered him a pretty tight friend. There you go, Dad.